On the evening of the 3rd of March 2026, the so-called Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, stood in Westminster Hall and turned against his own people. He was at a big iftar event, an Islamic event showing he had no respect for his own Christian culture. Muslims were breaking their fast for Ramadan when Starmer delivered a speech, having the audacity to speak on behalf of the public when in reality he has turned on them at every opportunity. He spoke of peace. He spoke of community. He made a pledge for Palestine. He then made a critical statement. He said the UK was not involved in offensive strikes by the US and Israel, and that remains the case. He received a standing ovation. The applause was loud. The audience was on its feet. However, beneath the surface, a storm has begun brewing. The Prime Minister must represent the British people. Their words should build bridges and reflect the truth about the dissatisfaction of the British people and their distaste for Islam and Islamic practices as a whole, not just secure voting blocks. The man is a traitor and isn't fit to lead. Keir Starmer's speech at the iftar was disgraceful. He sold out his own people in a desperate fashion. This was not a national address, nor did he speak for the people of Britain. This was a targeted campaign rally from a cowardly man who has no backbone and has practically offered our country to Islam. When he spoke, he was not a leader of England sharing a message of holiday respect, but a traitorous excuse on his knees for a violent parasitic religion. He was a politician making a pitch to foreign cultures which don't belong in the UK. He was selling out to Islam. The standing ovation he received was proof of his success with that specific audience. Winning over one, that Islamic group has shown again to the public how much he dislikes his own people. With this latest in the history, where he has gone against the wishes of the people, he has consistently been in breach of mandate and should have a vote of no confidence. Submitting to alien invasion, Starmer literally bent over for Islam for votes. This man is destroying our nation. The sentiment is shared by many. Britain's most important alliance is with the United States. This partnership has been the cornerstone of Western security for generations. It requires trust, communication, solidarity. Keir Starmer's speech put a crack in that foundation. By publicly and proudly declaring the UK was not involved in US-led strikes on Iran, he created distance. He did not just state a fact, he used it as a selling point to a domestic audience. This was not a neutral statement. It signaled separation from an American military action. The reaction from America was swift and brutal. Then, President Donald Trump did not hide his contempt. He mocked Starmer. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with. He complained about lack of support, highlighted difficulties using British bases like Diego Garcia. A public rebuke by an American president is a major diplomatic failure. It shows the special relationship is under strain. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp accused Starmer of backing Iran over Trump. Instead of supporting America, they refused to let them use British military bases. This is not how reliable allies behave. The long-term damage is significant. Words matter. When a Prime Minister speaks, every word is scrutinized. Keir Starmer praised British Muslims in his speech. He called them a success story for diversity. This is a lie and isn't the feeling from the general population. They do not want Islam here yet. The traitor declared them the face of modern Britain, when in fact Islam is the end of Britain. Islam makes British people feel uncomfortable. They no longer want it valued. British people do not want multi-faith or Islamic United Kingdom. Keir Starmer singled out this group as the nation's face. Islam is the disease of the UK, not its face. What about the national population of Britain? Christians, atheists alike, no matter what ethnicity, Anglo-Saxon heritage, Caribbean heritage, Eastern European, East Asian, aren't they also the face of modern Britain, elevating one community to singular status internationally to demote everyone else? Just how Islam elevates itself over everyone. It was a clumsy, self-righteous phrase, and it's wrong to support the destruction of British identity, favouring Islamic politics and allow the Islamic community to continue to weaponize victimhood. A Prime Minister should represent the nation. not pick one of the subcategories of migrants with extreme beliefs and biased views, who don't even like Britain and call it the entire picture. Saying they are the face is wrong. The controversy is that this is what Islam wants, and Keir Starmer has made too many mistakes with a national identity on its way to being destroyed thanks to him. A wise leader listens to public opinion. A strong leader also knows when to lead it. Keir Starmer is never. His speech seemed to be a direct response to polling data. A YouGov poll was clear. The British public are wary of another conflict in the Middle East. 49% opposed US military action against Iran. Only 28% were in favour. 50% opposed allowing the US to use British air bases. Only 30% supported the idea. Starmer's message of non-involvement was perfectly aligned with these numbers. On one hand, this looks like democratic responsiveness. On the other, leadership is not just about following polls. He was learning the lessons of the past, particularly the deeply unpopular Iraq War. His supporters would say he was being cautious and prudent, putting the desire for peace above the demands of an American president, the charitable interpretation. However, he did not offer a deeper strategic vision. He did not explain how Britain would navigate the complex security situation or support our allies while avoiding escalation. The fact is, a foreign Islamic policy is dictating lives in England daily. Keir followed polls obviously affected by foreign policies, while Islam moves in the country deeper and Britain becomes reactive and unpredictable. A nation's strength is resolve, reliability, and the clarity of its voice. Starmer's Ramadan speech projected an image of a Britain that is hesitant, apologetic, and weak. That British government will not stand up for their allies or themselves. The message was delivered as an appeal for approval, not sovereign policy. Begging for Islamic approval. It sounded less like a prime minister and more like someone scared, someone who was giving in to Islam, a useless excuse allowing their self-righteous to go more. This tone of appeasement was noticed by our allies and our adversaries. It drew an unflattering comparison between perceived vacillation and Churchill's wartime resolve. It signalled Britain may no longer be a reliable partner, prepared to share global burdens. Thanks to Keir and his weak leadership favouring Islam, history teaches that authoritarian regimes test boundaries when they sense weakness. Keir Starmer is the definition of weak. Publicly distancing from allies during a crisis sends the wrong signal. Starmer may have thought he projected peace. Many people know that he is facilitating the Islamic invasion of England. A PM's first duty is protection through alliances and deterrence. This speech did the opposite. He pleased the Islamic audience but has made Britain less safe and turned against the people. In his speech, Keir Starmer said, "I never supported the Iraq War in 2003, and I'm determined we learn those lessons today," a calculated reference. Iraq is a deep wound, flawed intelligence, immense bloodshed, instability, and due to his loyalty to Islam, he will always side with Muslims and terrorists. He signalled he would not be another Tony Blair. He would not rush into a foreign adventure. But he will allow foreign extremists to take over his country. Understandable politics. The memory looms large. But there is a difference between learning from history and being paralyzed by inviting the enemy into your home. The lesson is not that all action or alliances are wrong, but that decisions need sound intelligence and clear objectives. Keir Starmer has picked the wrong alliance because he is unintelligent and has hidden Islamic objectives. It is about exercising good judgment. Starmer needs to be held accountable for his behaviour and treasonous actions towards the British public. Starmer's speech was offensive lies and not representative of any of the British people. It was a self-indulgent narrative aimed at the egotistical Islamic extreme religion. The world of 2026 is not the world of 2003. The threats are different. The landscape has shifted. The problem is, here Islam is here. A rigid refusal is not strategy, it is abdication. We now need a rigid refusal on Islam, and on traitor Starmer leadership requires assessing each crisis on its merits. This isn't learning a lesson, it's being unable to move forward. A prime minister does not govern alone. They need the support, or at least the acquiescence, of parliament. Starmer's speech and perceived inaction prompted a direct challenge. A vacuum on base usage policy invited others to fill it. The narrative and agenda slipped away. The day after, a cross-party group of MPs took action. Greens, the New Left Wing, Your Party, the Independent Alliance, and Labour backbenchers tabled a bill. They sought parliamentary approval for any foreign use of British bases, a direct rebuke. A significant bloc did not trust the government to decide alone. Divisions widened. Critics on all sides were empowered. The right accused him of abandoning the US. Others tried to tie the government's hands to avoid entanglement. This backlash flowed directly from a vague, politically motivated speech. In the end, a prime minister is judged by one standard: did they act in the UK's best interest? By this measure, Starmer's Ramadan speech was a failure. Starmer is a failure, short-term political calculation, long-term strategic disaster. He won a standing ovation from one room of people who have sowed division across the country, and a growing number of British people no longer want Islam here. It has no place in politics, cause confusion and allies, Muslim influence over British. This is not leadership. The idiot Starmer has failed on multiple fronts. All fronts: his desperation and pandering, designating the Islamic group as the nation's face. It distanced Britain from its crucial ally and earned a humiliating rebuke. And also was far from the truth. The face of Britain is Christian, not covered in a hijab. It's time Keir Starmer resigns. The job has to be respected and needs someone clear and strong, not weasel-like and who has no morals or integrity at all. His words were vague, his stance weak, his motives political. He left allies questioning our resolve and citizens his judgment. Applause is fleeting. The national interest is permanent. Britain deserves a prime minister who is for Britain first, not a rat who is a political opportunist and Islamic extremism supporter. Oh, one last thing. Keir Starmer was involved with rent boys and covered it up. Thank you for watching.